This is the True Crime Nation podcast with your hosts, Todd and Brian. If you're enjoying the show or have suggestions for future shows, you can email us at truecrimenation@outlook.com. And as always, let's start the show. Hello, welcome back. This is the True Crime Nation podcast. As I said in the beginning, I'm Brian. That guy right over there is Todd.
Hello, what's up?
Not much, man. We have an interesting one today. I've never really heard of this guy. So tell us what we got going on.
Me either. We like to jump around. We like to do different things, stuff that people never really heard of that we feel are, just as bad as some of the well-known murderers or serial killers. So today we're going to jump across the pond over there in British Columbia. No, wait. No, we're not.
That's not across the pond. That's just right
I'll back
up in our
this up.
attic.
I'll back this up. So today we're going to go north into Canada, and we're going to talk about the Beast of BC, or British Columbia, as we know. His name is Clifford Olsen. So we're going to see what this sick-to-minute
Beast of British Columbia.
Twisted son of a bitch did.
Yeah, sounds like a beast.
So what do you got on him?
Well, we'll start out short and stocky, his wavy brown hair curling around his ears. Clifford Olsen entered a packed Vancouver courtroom on January 11th, 1982, carrying an annotated criminal code. Ever the drama king, he looked around with his brown, almost black eyes and smiled at his audience. Several of whom were devastated parents of his victims. British Columbia's history.
Hang on a second.
After each of the 10 charges was read, he responded.
Stop. Hold on. Back up a second and read Ever the Drama King over again. You kind of blurted in and out several times there. You know what I'm saying? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My internet seems to be fine. I don't know. Okay, go ahead. Do it again. Sorry.
Where'd I stop?
Just go with Ever the Drama King. Just start there.
Ever the drama king, he looked around with his brown, almost black eyes and smiled at his audience, several of whom were the devastated parents of his victims in the largest serial murder case in British Columbia's history. After each of the 10 charges were read, he responded, "Not guilty," in a clear, flat voice.
This guy sounds like a weirdo already.
Yeah. Well, he's a serial killer, so.
Drama king, right?
Yep. 3 days later, Olsen, 42, abruptly changed his plea. In a voice that began firmly, wavered, and finally broke, he admitted his guilt to 11 counts of his first-degree murder. The killing of 16-year-old Sandra Wolfsteiner has been added to the dreadful toll. The bodies of the 3 boys and 8 girls, aged 9 to 18, had been found in secluded areas within a 90-kilometer radius of Vancouver. Some of the victims had been raped and sodomized. Some were bludgeoned, others were stabbed, and one was strangled. All had been drugged and killed in a murderous spree lasting only 9 months, from November 1980 through July 1981, while Olsen was out of prison on mandatory supervision.
Okay, so this guy killed a lot of people in a short amount of time.
Yeah,
and he was
supposed to be in prison.
On mandatory supervision. I want to know who his parole officer was. That person should be prosecuted, executed, what have you. That's ridiculous.
I want to know who was supposed to be supervising him. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is Canada. It's not United States. Nothing against Canada. I'm just saying, maybe they need to look at who they don't let out of jail. So.
I do not have the words to adequately describe the enormity of your crimes or to describe the heartbreak and anguish you have caused, Mr. Justice H.C. McKay declared, as the mother of one of the victims sobbed in the packed courtroom. After saying that there is no punishment that a civilized country can impose that would be adequate, the judge gave Olsen 11 concurrent life sentences and recommended that he never be released.
Of course.
Yeah,
We
actually, he
talked
should have
about
been.
that life sentence thing, they wanna make sure
Yeah,
they don't ever get out.
yeah, that's right. Uh, you'd think that that might have been the last anybody heard of Olsen, aka the Beast of BC. In fact, his diabolical antics continued for the rest of his life, beginning with the infamous cash for bodies deal he struck with the RCMP in British Columbia with the approval of then federal solicitor General Robert Kaplan. That guy should have been in prison for that mess.
So he
Olson
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Olson played the criminal justice system like a personal video game for the next 3 decades. He toyed with police and tabloid journalists, promising them details on unsolved crimes in return for privileged and media coverage. Submitted poems and stories to literary contests to the horror of organizers, and used his manipulative, narcissistic personality and his quasi knowledge of the law to taunt lawyers and the families of his victims.
Guys like this just need to be they should have just put him in the chair right away. There's no excuse for that shit. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean they're just wasting taxpayers' money, and he's just taking up space.
so he did this cash for bodies thing where apparently he's like, "I'll tell you where some bodies are if you pay me some cash or give cash to my
Yeah,
family," or some bullshit like that.
yeah. Well, they'd probably put it on his prison account.
He shouldn't have had a
Because
prison account.
no,
People
he should
like
have been
this.
executed the day he got convicted.
I always go back to the old school saying of drop him off in the middle of a street around thousands of people and say, "Hey, here's a serial killer. Have at it." You know.
Yeah, run. See, if you can outrun him, you can live.
Don't even give him that chance. Just let him bludgeon him till he's dead. Beat the hell out of him.
Mm, even better. He appealed for a new trial and early parole under faint hope clauses, petitioned for parole on all but one opportunity after he served 25 years behind bars, and used the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to mount dozens of frivolous and vexatious challenges. In two of his more bizarre legal submissions, he claimed variously that being denied a solid pleasure life size revolutionary, not inflated sex doll, and the installation of plexiglass to line the front of his cell to protect him from other inmates amounted to cruel and unusual punishment and thereby contravened the charter.
Man, this guy just doesn't quit.
No, Olson never showed any remorse for his heinous murders, but the criminal justice system itself changed in response to his diabolical behavior on both sides of prison walls. His crimes gave rise to the victims of violent movement, their rep- their representation at trials and parole hearings, and the establishment of a missing children's registry. His incessant demands for parole led to an amendment of the criminal code barring multiple murderers from applying for early parole under the faint hope clause, and his ability to collect pension and old age income supplements resulted in the passage of Bill C-31, denying such payments to prisoners while they are incarcerated,
Mm-hmm.
which that seems like a no-brainer to me.
Right.
Nevertheless, each time Olson made headlines, the most recent occasion was when he appeared before the National Parole Board in 2010. The families of his victims were traumatized again. Their children will never be restored, but at least now Clifford Olsen has been silenced. When he died of cancer Friday at the age of 71, his legal challenges were finally over. He shouldn't even
Y-
got to that point.
You
He
know,
should have
just
been dead long ago.
yeah, the just the pain the guy put on people probably all his life, let alone before he was caught. And then just afterwards, all the bullshit and the crap he was putting the guards probably through and everybody else with the trials and the money and the cost. That screw these guys, man. They should not be
Yeah,
allowed any rights whatsoever. If you're caught doing
agreed.
stuff like this, nah, just rot. Don't even feed them. Just let them die of starvation, something like that. Throw them in a hole and just
Throw
let
him
them
in a
die.
hole and just forget about him. So they start stinking and come back and collect the body,
Right.
burn it.
If you want to torture him first beforehand, feel free. That's fine.
Well, starvation is probably pretty good torture.
Yeah, it probably is.
Man, what a wow, what a piece of work this guy was.
No shit. What a douchebag this guy was.
Yeah. In his early days, Clifford Robert Olsen was born in Vancouver, British Columbia on January 1st, 1940. One of four children of a milkman, but grew up in nearby Richmond. Even as a schoolboy, he was a bully and a petty thief who tormented cats and dogs. Was bold enough to snatch berries and flowers from the backyard patches and then try to sell them back to the unsuspecting growers. Well,
There
there
you
you go.
go.
He was torturing cats and dogs, so that's the first sign right there.
He's been that way all his life.
Yep. He was always getting into fights at school and getting beaten up. His father said in an interview one day, he said to me, "Dad, I'm going to learn to be a boxer." As soon as he did, he began making the rounds of the boys who had beaten him up and evening the score. Maybe that's his trouble, that chip on his shoulder. That's not his trouble.
No. No,
Yet he didn't
completely.
always disappoint. His former boxing coach, Tommy Ewell, had only positive memories of the good boy who was runner up in Bronze Gloves tournament in 1954 and deemed the most sportsmanlike boxer 4 years later in a Golden Gloves tournament.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. His life of crime. Olsen frequently played hooky and dropped out of school after completing grade 8. He lived with his parents until he was sent to jail for breaking and entering when he was 17. Over the next quarter century, he spent all but 4 years behind bars. Wow.
Jeez.
Racking up more than 90 convictions and 7 escapes from custody. A con artist with a charming but manipulative manner, Olsen sometimes got early release for good behavior, and other times had his sentence extended after escape attempts. Few trusted him for long, and eventually he antagonized both guards and fellow prisoners. He met his future wife, Joan Hale, a short, nervous divorcee with reddish brown hair, in February 1980. They were married on May 15th, 1981, in the People's Full Gospel Chapel in Surrey, a month after his son, Stephen, was born.
Well, there you go again. We talk about so when he committed all these murders from 80 to 81, he was also partially or married the whole time he was doing this. And we
Yeah,
talked about this before.
and had a kid.
How did the other half not know that your other half is a serial killer? How do you not have
Yeah, I
any
don't know. That's
suspicion?
I don't know, man. It's unbelievable.
I mean, it's one thing if you kill 3 or 4 people a year, but this guy killed like what, 11 people in 8 months or some crap like that? Come on.
Yeah.
How do you not know something's going on here? At
Right.
least
Oh,
suspect
well, here we go.
infidelity or something, right?
Yeah, you would think. Unless he's that good. Unbeknownst to his bride, Olson had already murdered 3 children: Christine Weller and Colleen Marianne Degnault, both 13 from Surrey, and Darren Todd Johnstrude, 16 from Coquitlam, within days of his wedding. Olson had abducted and killed Sandra Wolfsteiner, 16, of Langley.
Jeez.
One honeymoon. Honey, I'll be right back. I have to
Yeah.
go take care of something real quick.
Yeah. Jeez, man. Come on. And the thing about it is too is you notice a lot of the victims of a lot of the serial killers are young. They're
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
teenagers or kids,
Yep.
easy prey for them. They don't even have the balls to go after somebody who's older, smarter, wiser, possibly. Give them a challenge. They just pick on the weak and the small and the young,
Right.
and it's just disgusting.
Yep. Or it's like really old people.
That
Like
too.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, take advantage.
Yep. Yeah. But most of them, you're right, are the young and weaker. A month later, he struck again, murdering 13-year-old Ada Anita Court of Burnaby. His sadistic appetite whetted, he increased the speed with which he sought new victims. In July 1981, he killed no fewer than 6 children.
In 1 month, he killed 6 children.
Yep. He killed
Oh
no
my
fewer than
god.
6.
Okay, I don't know what people think about this guy, but this guy's to me, he's way worse than the Ted Bundy.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's this is probably the worst one we've
This
read
is
yet.
the top. Doing
Yeah.
this to kids? Come on.
Yep. And like boom, 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 boom. Like
Yeah,
there's
in 1
nothing.
month.
Yep.
Wow.
Simon Partington, 9, and Terry Lynn Carson, 15, both from Surrey. Judy Cosma, 14, and Raymond King, 15, from New Westminster. Sigrun Arndt, 18, a German tourist. And Marie Louise Chartrand, 17, from Maple Ridge. One was just a tourist, just minding her own business, going sightseeing.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Olson was wearing out a pew at church, telling anybody who would listen that he found God and weighing down his coffee table with a Bible. He even posted a solicitation on the church bulletin board advertising window washing jobs for teenagers. Olson actually made his living as a scam artist and a thief.
Yeah, so he'd lure these kids in to make some money washing windows, and he'd kill them. And
Yeah,
whatever else he did to them.
man, this guy.
Where do we find these sick asses anyway? I mean, Jesus. I've never
I
heard of
don't
this
know,
guy
man. I don't
before.
know where you're digging this stuff up
Where
at.
do
Oh,
where
I saw this one on. I don't remember where I found it. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot more sickness out there than we realize, people. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
just be aware.
Olson was finally arrested on August 12th, 1981, near Port Alberni in Vancouver Island, on suspicion of trying to abduct 2 female hitchhikers in his car. At that time, the 41-year-old habitual criminal had had more than half his life behind bars and was facing more than a dozen outstanding charges. He was taken to Chilliwack for questioning and charged 2 days later with the murder of Judy Cosma, whose nude body with multiple stab wounds had been discovered on July 25th.
All right. So
This
stabbed him to death.
wow, this guy is by far the worst one we found yet. Yeah,
I think so.
this is crazy.
We have a record.
Yeah. All right, here it is, the cash for bodies deal, and we're gonna find out about this fucked up deal.
Mm-hmm.
Finding the rest of the victims and extracting a confession out of Olson became the urgent preoccupation for police, and caught between trying to bring murder to justice, bring a murderer to justice without any concrete evidence, and assuaging the horror of families desperate to know what had happened to their children and to reclaim what remained of their brutalized bodies. That was the rationale behind the cash for bodies deal that was only revealed after Olson was sentenced in January 1982. The police had agreed to pay Olson $30,000 for evidence on the 4 bodies they had recovered before his arrest in August 1981, with an additional $10,000 for each subsequent murder site he identified or body he helped locate. Olson Olson was chuffed about the arrangement, and he provided details about one murder free of charge, a freebie, as he liked to boast.
What's he
Thirty
going to do with
thousand
this money?
dollars.
Did he give it to his wife? I mean,
I
he
don't know.
can't
We're
use
gonna
it
find
all.
out here in a minute. Before Olson gave up any gory details, however, he had insisted that the money was paid to his wife, Joan,
Okay.
who had moved with their baby son to her parents' home in the Kitsilamo area of Vancouver. She had played the devoted, trusting wife during his trial. That all changed when she was called as a witness in a lawsuit brought by the families of 7 of the victims. The group sued in the Supreme Court, British Columbia, in October 1984 to have the $100,000 cash for bodies trust fund declared fraudulent and the remaining money given to them as compensation for the murder of their children, which makes
Absolutely.
total sense to me.
Absolutely. You don't give those people, you don't give a murderer's family money. You don't do it.
No,
You
no,
torture them
that's
until they tell you where the bodies are.
yeah, that's
And if you don't find the bodies, you keep torturing them.
cash for bodies. Yeah, exactly. Start by
Here's
pulling
my
out one
deal.
fingernail at a time.
Here's my deal for you, Mr. Olson.
Mm-hmm.
Lay down on that bench right there. You ever heard of waterboarding? I'll
Yep.
give you a rag and a gallon of water. Lay down.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
The old Dick Cheney waterboarding kit coming right up.
Hey, it was.
Sorry.
It must have been. It must have been
I have,
successful.
yeah, I'm not upset about it.
Olson, who had reverted to her maiden name, Hale, at times, sobbed and clutched a Bible. She testified that her husband was an alcoholic who frequently beat her and threatened to slash her throat. She also admitted that he had confessed his crimes to her after his trial. What can I say, honey? He apparently said, I did it. It was the booze and the pills. She divorced him in 1985.
Well, yeah, it goes booze and pills
No,
makes you do that shit.
no, no, no. Maybe if you're already a psychopath, it helps. But you got to be a psychopath already.
So you get that, kids, no booze and no pills, and turn you into a serial killer.
Right. Yeah. The BC Court of Appeals unanimously ruled against the families in March 1986, arguing that the RCMP payment was not made as compensation for the deaths of the children. Rather, it was authorized to obtain evidence to convict Olsen of the murders. The Supreme Court of Canada refused to hear the case on appeal later the same year. What a bunch of fucking. Are you kidding me? That's the rationale they used?
Yeah, they're going to take taxpayers' money, pay this guy to tell him the rest of his crimes so they can prosecute him for them, even though he's already going to spend the rest of his life in jail.
And give it to his wife so she can live high on
And
the
give it
hog.
to his wife, right? Who played stupid, but obviously knew more than she
It was
claimed.
probably an accessory.
That's what I'd get her for. I'd get her for an accessory.
Or aiding and abetting at the least, you
If
know?
you're married to somebody for say 10 years and you have a suspicion they're doing something wrong and you find out they're a serial killer, you should damn well be prosecuted for something, for not coming forward and
Oh, yeah,
saying
for not
something.
coming forward. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yep.
Love is one thing, but people's lives are another, right?
Hmm. Especially children.
Exactly.
I mean, any life matters, but children especially.
Children especially. These are
This is
monsters because they're
ridiculous.
going after young kids who don't, they're just living their lives being young and happy and growing up.
Yeah, their lives have just started.
They don't
That
know what it's like to be an adult and live, the lives that we live and what we deal with. They're just happy kids running around. Next thing you know,
well, if you put it that way, I guess they're probably the lucky ones.
man, in a way, but that's
But no, but then it's terrible. This thing. I mean, they're kids. They had their whole lives in front of them, and he took it away.
yeah, yeah, that's the worst. If you're going to kill anybody, killing a kid's the worst. Period.
Yeah,
Period.
agreed. Olson's prison record. Now here we go. Olson was sent more than halfway across the country after his murder trial and incarcerated in Kingston Penitentiary in February 1982. He spent 23 hours a day in his cell in a special administrative segregation unit, the E block, housing inmates who need protection from fellow prisoners. In his first 7 years, he made 5 requests for a transfer and wrangled a trip to Vancouver after duping police about tales about his complicity in unsolved crimes. After visiting the cell block in August 1989, Globe and Mail Justice Journal reporter Mike Macon described Olson as fit and tanned and as unrepentant as he was notorious. True to form, he instantly spat out demands and cunningly worded on entreaties, leaping back and forth from his cot to his desk. He shoved letters, writs, and court documents through the bars, The only time that Olson turned away from his obsessive interest in religion and mounting legal challenges, according to Macon, was the hour a day he spent running in the exercise yard. 2 years later, E Block had been shut down and Olson moved to H Block. Even there, he was placed as far away from the others as possible and put into a specially reinforced cell with floor to ceiling plexiglass covering the bars. Even his isolation couldn't muffle the incessant sounds of his typing as he wrote pornographic and sadistic memoirs of his crimes, produced legal challenges, and before authorities started screening his mail, composed revolting, explicit, and threatening letters to some of the families of his victims.
Why?
That I thought prisons screened everything that went in and out of there.
Why does Canada do this shit, man? Canada, wake up. I hope you're not
Well,
doing this shit
they have
anymore.
now. I mean, according to them, they've changed their laws.
My God.
In 1992, after complaining about back pain, Olson was sent for x-rays to a Kingston hospital. Technicians found a handcuff key stolen from the prison guards tucked up his rectum. That escape attempt thwarted, Olson was transferred after almost a decade of fractious behavior in Kingston to the Special Handling Unit in the Maximum Security Federal Penitentiary in Princeton, Albert, Sask. Prince Albert, Sask.
This guy just don't quit,
Canada and
does
their
he?
weird names. No, I don't think he quit until he died.
This guy was just a burden on humanity, period.
Yeah, yep, pretty much. And so it continued with Olson using the system to apply repeatedly for parole, privileges, and satisfaction under the charter that, for what he deemed were the cruel and unusual conditions of his incarceration. When the Saskatchewan family closed down in the summer of 1997, Saskatchewan facility closed down in 1997, Olson was transferred back to east of the Super Maximum Security Special Handling Unit in St. Anne des Plaines, north of Montreal, Quebec. His last feudal appearance before the National Board was in November 2010. This is the final time, Olson told the board in disgust. He is graying, his graying combed forward to camouflage his hair combed forward to camouflage its thinness. Never again, I'm out. And for once, he was telling the truth.
Yeah, I looked this guy up here real quick.
What a piece of shit that guy was, man.
Did a Google on him. He looks like a little piece of shit. Tyrant, annoying little turd. What do you think about this guy, man?
I think they wasted too much time on this guy. He should have been executed the day he was convicted.
I wonder why we don't know more about him. I wonder why we've never really heard much about this guy.
Canada's probably doing their best to cover this shit up.
Do you think it has to do with that?
Well, yeah. After what the mess they made of this,
Them and their
paying this guy $100,000.
So what happened? I wonder what happened to his wife. Did she get the money? Did she live the rest of her life?
Yeah, she got the money.
That's ridiculous.
Because the court overturned the case for the people.
How could you just, as a country, as anyone, as a group, whatever, allow any family member of a serial killer to take any kind of money received
to benefit from their crimes? Yeah,
to benefit from their crimes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Honey, trust me. No matter what happens, you're going to come out looking good and $100,000 richer.
Yep, be able to live the rest of your life comfortably.
Wow. Well, it's their fault for doing it. It's their fault for giving in to the guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. This one is by far the worst one we've heard yet. I'm sure there's others, but this one right now is the worst one we had yet.
Oh yeah, definitely. Hands down. I hate
not
to
only
admit
from his crimes, but from the stupid shit that Canada did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, people, communities, countries can allow this stuff to happen if they don't take offensive action toward it and say, hey, If we catch you doing this, you're going to be tortured for a long time. We're going to publicize it. Then we're going to kill you in the worst possible way. We're going to burn you alive, whatever it takes. We're going to teach people a lesson. This is what happens if we catch you killing people. Above the fact of what we talked about, technology coming about, it's harder to be a serial killer nowadays.
Right.
Just put that home with a little bit of here's what's going to happen to you. And we've gotten too soft. Oh, we can't do that. That we can't punish
That's
people
the
like that.
problem. We got all
Bullshit.
these people screaming, inhuman behavior. You
But you
can't
can
do
sit
that.
back and
They're human too. They have rights. No, they don't.
right, they don't. And you can
The
sit
first
back
time you
and
take the first time you take somebody's life, your rights are done.
yep. In an
Should be.
intentional wrong matter, if you're not protecting yourself, yeah, your rights are done.
Right. If
Period.
it's not self-defense.
If it's not self-defense or an accident.
Right.
If you intentionally do it, sorry,
If you
but
murder somebody in cold blood,
yeah,
your all rights are forfeit. That's how it should be.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think there'd be a lot of backing off at least on some of these crimes. People would think twice before they did shit. Maybe. I don't
Would
know.
they? I think a psychopath's a psychopath, a psychopath. I think
They are correct. I just think that they have different ways of controlling their needs by not taking it to an extreme.
their brains don't work like ours.
Like
Yeah.
like we said, nowadays it's hard to
It is
not
because
get caught being a serial killer.
everything's connected. There's
Technology.
way more. There's a lot more cameras around now. Everybody's got a camera on them now. And a
Well,
tracker basically with a cell phone.
look at it like this. Back in the 70s and 80s, it seems to appear like the stories we're doing that is when a lot of this stuff happened. Why?
Yeah.
Why did we
Yeah.
hear about it happening more then than now? Well, we said that we have the technology. It's harder to get away with murder nowadays. Period.
Yeah. It
You
is
know, so
for
people are
sure.
probably thinking twice before they do stuff. I'm not
I
saying
would
there's
hope
not
so,
those
but
people out there that is probably
right.
or they're very, very good at it. One of the two. But sooner or later, you're going to get caught. It's inevitable, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Not soon enough, but yeah. I
right,
mean, nowadays especially, they're gonna find them.
right. Well, an awesome show at the least to say, guys. Definitely
Yeah.
like you said, the top of the list of the worst we've had so far.
Yeah,
So
for sure. What a piece of shit that guy was.
with that, we'll call it a show. Thanks for
Yeah,
hanging out
man.
with me, my friend.
Yeah, man. Always fun.
Listeners,
Always learning.
if you guys are enjoying the show, reach out to us at truecrimenation@outlook.com. We appreciate you listening.
Yes, we do.
Thanks again. And remember,
Monsters are real.